Have you ever felt like your grocery bill jumps overnight, but your salary increase takes an eternity to arrive? This common experience isn't just a feeling, it's a fundamental economic reality. We're going to explore why wages and prices move at different speeds and how understanding this gap can empower you to make smarter financial decisions. Most people hold a simple, intuitive expectation. When the cost of living rises, their income should naturally follow suit. It seems like a fair and logical exchange. If inflation pushes up the price of goods and services, then wages should adjust to maintain purchasing power. However, for many, this ideal scenario rarely plays out smoothly. Prices often seem to surge with alarming speed, impacting daily budgets almost immediately. Meanwhile, wages appear to lag, sometimes by months or even years, creating a persistent financial squeeze. This disconnect can be incredibly frustrating and confusing. If you've ever wondered why your paycheck feels perpetually behind your rising expenses, this video is designed to provide a clear, objective explanation of this economic phenomenon. It's about understanding the mechanics, not assigning blame. Before we delve deeper, let's establish what you can expect from this discussion. This video is not about pointing fingers or predicting the next economic downturn. It's not here to tell you how to invest your money or what political policies to support. Instead, our goal is purely educational. By the end of this session, you will gain a comprehensive understanding of why wages and prices rarely adjust at the same pace. We will uncover the structural forces that create this difference, equipping you with a more informed perspective on economic news and your personal financial journey. This is about building financial literacy and economic education. It's about replacing confusion with clarity, allowing you to interpret the world around you with greater insight and less anxiety. Our focus is on understanding, not urgency or alarm. On the surface, the relationship between wages and prices appears straightforward. Prices increase, signaling higher costs or demand. Employers, in turn, should adjust pay to retain talent and ensure their workforce can afford to live. This should theoretically restore a sense of economic balance. Yet, in practice, this equilibrium is seldom achieved quickly or without friction. What most individuals experience is a noticeable and often uncomfortable widening gap. Prices tend to react almost instantly to market shifts, reflecting new costs or demand pressures. Wages, conversely, respond much more slowly, often with a significant delay. The period between these two adjustments can feel financially uncomfortable, eroding purchasing power and creating stress. This persistent gap is not an accident. It's a fundamental characteristic of how modern economies operate. This phenomenon is a built-in feature, influenced by various economic and psychological factors. Recognizing this inherent delay is the first step toward better personal financial planning and a more accurate interpretation of economic headlines. Prices possess an inherent agility that wages lack. Businesses have the operational capacity to adjust their pricing strategies with remarkable speed. This flexibility is a critical component of market efficiency and responsiveness. Consider a business facing rising input costs, such as raw materials or energy. They can quickly update price tags, modify online listings, or inform customers of new rates. This immediate adjustment allows them to maintain profit margins and respond to market dynamics. Whether it's a sudden surge in demand for a popular product or a disruption in the global supply chain, businesses can react in real time. This rapid response mechanism ensures that prices reflect current market conditions, allowing for efficient resource allocation. Prices are inherently flexible and responsive to pressure. This doesn't imply that price changes are always fair or justified, but rather that the mechanisms for their adjustment are readily available and frequently utilized by businesses to adapt to their operating environment. In stark contrast to prices, wages are structurally designed for slower adjustment. The process of changing employee compensation is complex, involving multiple layers of planning, negotiation, and policy. This inherent rigidity is often referred to as wage stickiness in economic terms. Wage adjustments are typically tied to formal processes. These include employment contracts that specify pay for a set period, annual or semi-annual budget cycles where salary increases are planned, and performance review periods that dictate merit raises. Furthermore, Wage changes often involve negotiations, whether individual or collective through unions. Company profitability plays a crucial role, as businesses must ensure they can sustain higher labor costs. Broader labor market conditions, such as unemployment rates and skill shortages, also influence wage growth. Most employees do not renegotiate their salaries monthly. Instead, pay reviews are typically annual, semi-annual, or occur only when an individual changes jobs. This creates a significant lag, meaning that even when prices are soaring, wages may remain stagnant for extended periods. This stickiness is a well-documented economic concept. It highlights that wages resist rapid change, even in the face of significant and swift movements in consumer prices. Understanding this fundamental difference is key to comprehending the wage-price gap. The phenomenon of the wage-price gap is not a new development. It has been a recurring feature throughout economic history. Examining past periods of inflation reveals a consistent pattern where prices adjust first, with wages lagging behind. During the high inflation era of the 1970s in the United States, for example, consumers experienced rapidly rising costs for goods like gasoline and food. Wages, while eventually increasing, did so with a significant delay, leading to a prolonged period of reduced purchasing power for many households. Similarly, in post-war Europe, as economies rebuilt and faced various supply shocks, prices often surged ahead of wages. Emerging economies, particularly during periods of currency instability or rapid economic transformation, frequently witness this same dynamic, where local prices escalate much faster than average incomes. These historical instances demonstrate that the delay in wage adjustment is not merely a result of poor policy or individual employer decisions. It reflects deeper institutional constraints, a cautious approach by employers facing economic uncertainty, and a general reluctance to commit to permanent wage increases based on potentially temporary inflationary pressures. History consistently shows that this wage-price gap is a predictable pattern, not an anomaly. Recognizing this historical precedent helps us understand that current experiences are part of a larger, well-established economic trend. A frequent and understandable reaction to the wage-price gap is the belief that someone must be intentionally holding wages back. This perspective often leads to frustration and a sense of injustice, but it oversimplifies a complex economic reality. In truth, wage growth is constrained by a multitude of factors that extend beyond individual intent. Businesses operate with specific planning horizons, often looking several quarters or even years ahead. They face intense competitive pressures, both in their product markets and in attracting talent. Employers are also wary of raising wages too quickly if they believe inflationary pressures might be temporary. Wage increases are generally considered permanent commitments, which are much harder to reverse than price adjustments. If inflation subsides, businesses could find themselves with unsustainably high labor costs. This asymmetry is crucial. Prices can be adjusted downwards, albeit slowly, if market conditions change. Wage increases, however, are extremely difficult to undo without significant negative impacts on employee morale and productivity. Therefore, businesses exercise caution, waiting for clear signals of sustained economic trends before committing to higher compensation. Understanding these business realities helps clarify that the wage-price gap is not necessarily a malicious act, but rather a consequence of rational decision-making within a complex economic environment. It's about risk management and long-term sustainability from a business perspective. To truly grasp the dynamics of wages and prices, it's helpful to adopt a more nuanced framework. Instead of viewing them as directly linked and equally responsive, consider this. Prices primarily react to current market conditions, while wages tend to respond to confidence about the future. Prices reflect immediate supply and demand imbalances, current input costs, and prevailing market sentiment. They are a real-time indicator of economic pressures. Wages, on the other hand, are a forward-looking commitment. Employers need to be confident that higher costs are not only permanent, but also that their revenues will be sufficient to sustain increased payroll expenses over the long term. This confidence takes time to build. It requires sustained economic growth, clear signals that inflation is embedded, and a stable outlook for consumer demand. Until employers are convinced that these conditions are firmly in place, wage growth will remain cautious and measured. This explains why wage gains often lag behind inflation, even in periods of robust economic activity. The decision to raise wages is a strategic one, influenced by long-term projections and risk assessment, rather than an immediate reaction to monthly price changes. This framework helps individuals understand that the delay isn't a sign of economic failure, but rather a reflection of how different economic variables respond to different signals and time horizons. It encourages a more patient and informed perspective on economic trends. Grasping the fundamental difference in how wages and prices move doesn't magically eliminate inflation or instantly boost your income. However, it profoundly changes how you interpret and react to economic information, empowering you to make more informed personal financial decisions. This knowledge helps you understand why economic reports, such as the Consumer Price Index, CPI, or wage growth figures, might seem contradictory. You'll recognize that feeling financially behind during inflationary periods is a common and predictable experience, not a personal failing. It provides context for why progress might feel delayed, even when the economy is technically growing. This understanding replaces confusion with clarity, allowing you to approach your personal finances with a more realistic and strategic mindset. For students, it offers a practical application of economic theory. For the general public, it demystifies complex headlines. For investors, it provides a clearer lens through which to assess market trends and potential impacts on corporate earnings and consumer spending. Ultimately, this insight empowers you to manage your expectations, plan your budget more effectively, and advocate for your financial well-being with a deeper understanding of the underlying economic forces at play. It transforms frustration into informed action. Let's reiterate the core takeaway. Wages and prices do not move at the same speed because they are governed by fundamentally different economic forces and operational considerations. Prices are agile, reacting quickly to immediate market pressures, supply shocks, and demand shifts. Wages, conversely, are inherently sticky. They move slowly, influenced by long-term contracts, budget cycles, company profitability, and a cautious assessment of future economic confidence. This structural difference is a built-in feature of modern economies. Understanding this crucial distinction helps you interpret economic news and your personal financial situation without assuming something is inherently broken or that you are uniquely struggling. It provides a rational explanation for a common experience. This deeper understanding leads to better personal financial decisions, more realistic expectations, and a calmer approach to navigating economic fluctuations. It's about seeing the economic landscape with greater clarity and making informed choices based on that insight. Please like this video if you have enjoyed it or received any benefit from it. Every one of your likes truly encourages us to continue creating helpful content. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.